The one man who can defeat the tyranny of the left. And that's why we need his leadership now more than ever. Don't miss Dinesh D'Souza's unqualified defense of Trump, vindicating Trump.
Hey, welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Glad to have you along. We'll get the program started here momentarily. We're in commercial coming out, and we're going to start with a long view of where our country is and how that manifests itself in the presidential election and right down here on the local level. So thanks for joining. Here we go. Well, we have the dock workers on strike, militantly so. You'll hear from their union representative, and you can pick a side in that whole situation. We have Iran supposedly threatening a ballistic missile attack on Israel, and we, of course, have the Tim Walz, J.D. Vance debate tonight. So a lot of things to talk about here on a Tuesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. But let's start with the fact that the demons are dancing in Westerville. They are very happy, the dark forces of Satan, because last night the Westerville School Board did exactly what we all feared that it would do. It voted to rescind its release time religious instruction policy, which is a nice way of saying it kneecapped LifeWise Academy, which is a constitutionally provided, volunteer, parent, and booster supporter funded program that occurs off school property only with those students who volunteer to be instructed in the Bible with parental approval. The vote was 4-0. There are 5 members on the Westerville board. The newest member of the Westerville Board of Education, her name is, I think it's Anissa Liban. She is the head of a Somali nonprofit, and she wears a hijab, so I'm going to assume that she is someone who practices the Islamic faith. She abstained, which I find very interesting, because had she not abstained, it would make more problematic for the Westerville Board of Education and its cowardly superintendent, Angela Hamburg, to explain why, if LifeWise Academy cannot continue in the Westerville schools off-site during recess and lunch. See, this is one of the big lies that the Westerville Progressive Alliance and those it is captured on the Westerville Board of Education, which is to say everyone. This is one of the big lies that the Westerville Progressive Alliance says, or it's a half-truth, which of course makes it a lie, that the release time religious instruction takes place during the school day. Now, what do you envision when you hear that kids are being instructed in the Bible during the school day? They're taking them out of class, right? They're taking them out of class to instruct them in the Bible. And, you know, maybe you could even be someone who says you are an authentic Bible believer and say, well, I don't think they ought to be taking them out of science class or math class or English class. Rest assured they are not. The students are taken out only during recess or lunch. Recess or lunch. So one of the great exaggerations is that LifeWise is taking kids out during the school day and that they are missing school. They're not missing school. They are missing lunch or recess. Okay, this program flourishes all over the state of Ohio. The parents all over the state of Ohio have allowed LifeWise to grow, because if you have a volunteer program and people don't sign up for it, guess what? The program goes away. And so Anissa Liban refused to vote on this last night. She abstained from the vote, which, again, I say will make it much easier, although I don't think legal, for Westerville to continue to do what it has been doing in past years, which is allow Muslim students out of class, science, math, English, doesn't matter, to pray in school hallways during Ramadan. Now, if you're going to kneecap LifeWise in its 3rd year, because it is a disruption during the school day, I would just ask, A, if you no longer have, and you don't have in Westerville's school district a release time religious instruction policy any longer, because that's what was suspended last night. It wasn't a board action that'll appear anywhere in print that we are not allowing LifeWise Academy. We are not allowing, the board said last night in Westerville, release time religious instruction. So they rescinded that policy. So as they are quick to point out, here's woke board president Christy Meyer making sure that you know.
To make one thing very clear, the concern around this policy has nothing to do with any specific religion or religious programs in general.
Nothing to do with any specific religion, but we're going to suspend our release time religious instruction policy. Again, not aiming it at any one specific religion. Okay, so I would like to know how it is therefore legal and how it is therefore not a disruption during the school day for Muslim students to be released from class during Ramadan to pray in the hallways at Westerville schools. If you don't have a policy allowing for that, and you did have since 2009, release time religious instruction policy, which you last night suspended, how is it therefore going forward legal for Muslim students to leave class and pray in the hallway? I'm sure the Westerville board and I'm sure Anissa Liban will lead the effort to stop Muslim students from being released from class to pray in the hallway during Ramadan. I certainly hope somewhere out there are attorneys who look at this situation and go, you know what? This looks like a looming lawsuit to me against the Westerville School District, in that they are picking and choosing their favorite religion, because I guarantee you 1,000% that there is no way the board members, Jennifer Altman, Tracy Davidson, Christina Meyer, or Louise Valentine, or Anissa Liban want to be accused of anything that brushes close to being Islamophobic. No chance will they court that fight. But they know that they have the cover, the support of a bunch of people who are invested in darkness, who do not want kids who go to LifeWise to come back to school and tell their friends, hey, I have so much fun. Why don't you come? Because then those kids go home and they ask people like those in the Westerville Progressive Alliance and those who have led this effort and have proliferated these lies, people like Jacqueline Fraley, who is the head of the organization that is and has targeted LifeWise and has cudgeled the board into doing this. Here's Jacqueline Fraley. She's lying as well.
At the core of this isn't about religion against religion. This isn't against Christianity. It's just removing a policy that sows division and lack of inclusion amongst our children.
Yes, because everyone knows Christianity sows division and lack of inclusion among people. Because everyone knows that if you believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, it's only for white people, right? I don't think that's exactly an accurate quotation of the Great Commission. I think Jesus said, go into all the world. All the world. He didn't restrict it by race. He didn't restrict it by ethnicity. He didn't restrict it by income. In fact, there is, of course, nothing more diverse, nothing more inclusive, nothing more equitable than the Christian faith, which makes salvation available to all, not because of what man has done or man has achieved, but because of what Jesus Christ has done. Now, listen, we can talk about the particulars of this as it pertains to Westerville, and I'm willing to, if you want to, 844-TALK-989, 844-TALK-989. I'd love to hear from any of you who are opposed to LifeWise being in your district. I'd like to hear you try to explain how disruptive it is for kids to leave on LifeWise buses during lunch or recess, how that's disruptive, but it's not disruptive to have Muslim students on a mat on their knees praying in hallways during school hours just outside of classrooms where other students are being instructed. I would like for somebody to fill in those blanks for me. This is, of course, indicative of a time in America where we are purposefully walking away from and thumbing our collective noses at God. We have a presidential candidate who very well may win this presidency, who is on record advocating for the unrestrained butcher of unborn children. She, Kamala Harris, and Tim Walz advocate for suspending parental rights to take children away from their parents when they say they are suffering from the mental illness of gender dysphoria. And Harris and Walz would be just fine with them taking, the authorities in the states, taking your children away from you to mutilate them and to prescribe medicines that will forever change their DNA. They lie to you about the border. And there are so many things that the Harris-Walz campaign has demonstrated that would disqualify them from being considered in any previous presidential election. Imagine any president trying to get elected when they had been part of an administration that allowed 13,000 murderers to be released into the interior of the United States. But the fact that that is someone who is still up for consideration as president proves that America does not prize what it once prized. And we will experience the consequences of that.
Shower in spots this afternoon. High today 77. Passing shower this evening, otherwise cloudy. Low tonight at 55. Less humid, clouds and sun for tomorrow. The high 71. Partly sunny, a warm day on Thursday. The high 77. Partly sunny Friday. The high up to 81. And then sunshine, a very nice day on Saturday. The high Saturday at 77. Sunday mostly sunny. The high once again at 77. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not an offer. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484, 800-839-8484, 800-839-8484.
ProView Remodeling, Central Ohio's one-stop residential remodeler specializing in the best sunrooms, windows, doors, decks, siding, patios, porches, motorized screens, and more. Call ProView Remodeling today and get 60 months, 0 interest, or 25% off. Call 7 days a week, 614-756-3140. You win with ProView, 614-756-3140, or go to proviewremodeling.com.
With the massive tax hikes proposed by Harris, an almost 40% top income tax rate, 7% increase to the corporate tax, a capital gains tax on unrealized gains, and that her proposal would add almost $2 trillion to a current $2 trillion deficit, you might be thinking maybe, just maybe, it's time to make more of your savings tax sheltered and inflation sheltered. This is where the people
Lockdown.
Yeah, so my pillow. Sorry.
No worries.
Text ELDER to the number 989898 for your free info today. That's ELDER 9898. If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, feel better for a few hours, only to have the pain return, and then repeat the cycle all over again, try Relief Factor. And the good news is, Relief Factor makes that easy. Their 3-week good start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps you. Well, it's a unique formula of ingredients to help support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by doctors. It's 100% drug-free, and for so many people, results $19.99. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4 1-800-4 See how in just a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So don't mask pain.
MyPillow.com prices are very conducive to a couple of things. First of all, the Christmas season. They're saying that, the cargo on the supply ships, which now will not be delivered, could imperil Christmas presents. Well, not if you order from MyPillow.com. You can go to MyPillow.com right now, use my promo code Bruce, and you can get shipped right to your house. Not shipped through a ship, but shipped via the U.S. mail or FedEx or some other service. A standard MyPillow for your student, for your college student, or hey, it's okay to be selfish for you. You can afford to be. It's only $14.98, the standard MyPillow. If you'd like a king or a queen size, well, then you can take advantage of the $25 extravaganza and pair it up with, I don't know, a pair of slippers, slides, maybe a towel set, maybe a bathrobe, whatever. If your total order is over $75, your shipping is free at MyPillow.com. The key to remember is my promo code Bruce. Order today, save money, get great products. MyPillow.com. It is my strong belief that eventually, and maybe very soon, we will be experiencing as a country the consequences of what is manifest locally with last night's decision by the Westerville Board of Education to kneecap LifeWise Academy and end that program in Westerville, and nationally with someone like Kamala Harris, who certainly advocates for positions that are 180 degrees from God's moral positions on things like abortion, immigration, and other consequential issues that face our country. I did offer the superintendent of Westerville Schools, Angela Hamburg, the opportunity to come on today and explain how LifeWise Academy taking kids off campus during recess and lunch only and then returning them to campus is a disruption to the school day. And I would have asked Superintendent Hamburg how it is not disruptive to have Muslim students in the hallways of the schools during Ramadan praying. She, of course, will not come on because though she is no doubt more educated than I am, she is incapable of having that discussion. I extended that same offer through Superintendent Hamburg to Christy Meyer of the school board. None of them will come on. They are all afraid of answering questions. And you know how I know they are afraid? Because if I had an issue in my purview as a board member or as a superintendent or an administrator, and people were coming to me and saying, you got to get rid of this program, man. This program's terrible, blah, 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 blah. You know what I would do? I would go and I would attend a LifeWise Academy class to find out, okay, what's really going on here? What are these kids being taught? How nefarious is this? But instead, though they have all been invited, every board member, Angela Hamburg, and no doubt other administrators, to come in and attend a LifeWise Academy class, none of them have taken up LifeWise on that offer. None of them. So they prefer to operate in ignorance. And this is where we are headed as a country. This is where we have traversed over the past few years. Remember when abortion was to be safe, legal, and rare? Now it is to be shouted and celebrated. And since the left never holds a victory party, they're always moving it. And so, out of deference to the LGBTQ movement, now the Democrats have to defend and do the horrors of sexual mutilation surgeries and puberty blockers to minors whose brains are not fully developed. And unfortunately, those who are allowed to do so are parented by people whose brains are not fully developed either. Yesterday in Georgia, a Fulton County judge, not a Supreme Court judge, not a U.S. District judge, a Fulton County judge struck down Georgia's heartbeat bill. So previously in Georgia, because of a law passed by the Georgia General Assembly in 2019 and signed by Brian Kemp, you know the way laws are supposed to be made. This law is now no longer in effect in Georgia because of one county judge. The law had already been upheld by the Georgia Supreme Court. But this now county judge somehow can intervene and rule that the law is unconstitutional. Doesn't he answer to the people above him? It's not a coincidence that I'm also holding in my hand a story from Axios, headline like this: young women grow less religious than young men. And of course, this is true because if you want to and do advocate for the unrestricted murder of children that you are carrying as a mom, if you can turn off the voice inside you that says this baby will bring you the greatest joy of your life, that you have been given the gift of being able to carry and create life, if you can turn that voice off in deference to your own selfishness, well, then you're capable of any kind of evil. 39% of Gen Z women, that's up to age 27, identify as religiously unaffiliated. 39%, 4 in 10, almost half. 30% of Gen Z men do the same, so more women than men. You always hear women say, I can't find a good man. Looks to me like the odds of young men finding a good woman are considerably less than the other way around. The problematic part of this is that 41 million Gen Zers will be eligible to vote this November. 1/6 of the entire electorate. 1/6. And why are they turning away from the church? Why are they turning away from God's morality? Because they feel like the church is anti-LGBTQ. The church is not anti-LGBTQ. The church is anti-sin. And it's not the church that says that being a part of the LGBTQ movement is a sin. It is the Bible that says that. So if you want to belong to an authentic Bible-believing church, not one that makes you feel good because you supposedly are good enough, then you will oppose all the things that God opposes. We are to hate what God hates. Now, it's interesting, and I don't think coincidental at all. Today is October the 1st, and when the months turn over, I always start back again in my monthly discipline, which is reading a chapter from the book of Proverbs that corresponds to the date of the month. So today I'm in Proverbs 1, where it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline." Fear of the Lord is not a terrifying feeling. It is a deference, an extolling, an esteeming of God, a ceding to his authority, a humility on your part, that you are human and he is God and he knows what's better for you. So if you fear him in that way, it is the beginning of knowledge. But fools, like those on the Westerville school board, like the superintendent Angela Hamburg, like this judge in Georgia, like Kamala Harris, like Joe Biden, fools despise wisdom and discipline. What will the consequences of this be? Well, God makes it very clear. In Proverbs 1:23, it reads, "If you had responded to my rebuke, I would have poured out my heart to you and made my thoughts known to you. But since you rejected me when I called, and no one gave heed when I stretched out my hand, since you ignored all my advice and would not accept my rebuke, I in turn will laugh at your disaster. I will mock when calamity overtakes you, when calamity overtakes you like a storm, when disaster sweeps over you like a whirlwind, when distress and trouble overwhelm you. Then you will call to me, but I will not answer. You will look for me, but you will not find me, since you hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord." That's truth. Whether you believe it or not, that's truth.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. The Israeli military calls its move into southern Lebanon a limited ground invasion, going after what's described by the IDF as Hezbollah terrorist targets and infrastructure. Prices could go up and some goods could be hard to find if the newly launched dock workers strike drags on, impacting ports from Maine to Texas, 36 busy ports in all. Tonight's one and only vice presidential debate in New York could feature some sharp exchanges. The Salem Radio Network and the Salem News Channel offering a simulcast of this evening's CBS News vice presidential debate. At least 133 lives have been lost, hundreds of people unaccounted for, the toll taken by Hurricane Helene across a half dozen states in the South. The Dow is down 210 points, the NASDAQ off 351. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey folks, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back. But what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at the Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word prepare to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text prepare to 989898. That's prepare to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRA.
Dennis Prager here, inviting you to join me on a cruise to the Caribbean this November. I'll share fresh insights about our world today, all while soaking up a tropical Caribbean paradise with you. Call 855-565-5519 or PragerCruise.com.
This is Josh Fick with Aptus Wealth Management. The U.S. and the world have certainly changed a lot in the last few years. We're facing money dangers that we haven't seen in a long time, maybe ever. Inflation continues to be a problem. Interest rate increases have made purchases like cars and homes seemingly impossible for some, and retirement looks like a scary proposition. For many, it appears to be a dire situation and has left them paralyzed and fearful. You're not helpless, and there are ways to gain back control. We help our clients navigate the labyrinth of retirement planning and educate them on how to make appropriate choices for their individual situation. Whether you have never met with a fiduciary
There, so when it's locked, it's up and down vertical here.
Call our office today at 614-917-1040 and learn how a cost-free complimentary meeting may be the key to putting your money to work and your mind at ease. And don't forget to listen to the Aptus Blueprint Radio Show Friday evenings at 6, Saturday afternoons at noon, or call our office today at 614-917-1040.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, Google Salem Surround Columbus. Remember to Google Salem Surround Columbus today.
Today's America is full of bloviating pundits who speak with emotion. That's why you need to listen to The Larry Elder Show. Larry is a lawyer, writer, and media personality who speaks truth with facts. The Larry Elder Show, weekday evenings from 8 to 11 on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
QC Kinetics, they have clinics in Dublin and in Gahanna, and it's a good thing they do because there are a lot of people in Central Ohio who suffer from pain. Could be your back, could be your neck, your elbow, your wrist. Who knows what it is? I spent about an hour last night picking up sticks. If you have the remnants of Hurricane Helene's wrath in your front yard and you dread doing it because not only is it a task that you'd rather spend your time doing something else, but you know your back's going to be screaming at you after you do it, then I would highly suggest you take advantage of the, listen closely, free consultation at QC Kinetics. Sure, you can go see your doctor and you can get tethered to pain medicine or be talked into a surgery, but why would you do that when you might be able to get relief from advanced regenerative therapies, which is the withdrawing of your blood, the concentrating of the healing agents called platelets, and the re-injection of those platelets into the affected area, thus giving you relief. Check it out, 380-208-4544, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. It is a target-rich environment tonight for J.D. Vance, senator from the state of Ohio, Republican vice presidential nominee, although he will be 3-on-1 with Tim Walz, Margaret Brennan, and Nora O'Donnell playing for the Democrats. You say, wait a minute, Margaret Brennan and Nora O'Donnell, aren't they the moderators? Yes, they are. And you know, it will be 3-on-1. But J.D. Vance is a smart guy. J.D. Vance is good on his feet. J.D. Vance has done a lot of interviews, a lot of hostile interviews, and he's acquitted himself quite well. And Tim Walz, well, if it's possible to hide a political candidate more than the Democrats have hid Kamala Harris, Tim Walz wins the booby prize. The goofy sitcom dad, the emotional support monkey who had to sit beside Kamala Harris during her first courageous foray onto television for a sit-down interview. Tim Walz tonight will be all alone up there on the stage. And guess what? There's another blatant lie that Tim Walz has told that perhaps J.D. Vance will bring up tonight. The problem is J.D. Vance could consume all of his debate time tonight questioning Tim Walz on all the lies he has told. I carried weapons of war in war. No, you didn't. I was a command sergeant major. And you didn't retire that way. So I retired a command sergeant major. No, you didn't. I won a big award from the Nebraska Chamber. No, you didn't. I had my kids via IVF. No, you didn't. And now someone has looked into Tim Walz oft-stated, oft-repeated in the New York Times, by CBS News, by National Public Radio, oft-repeated bragging that he was in Tiananmen Square in 1989 when the Chinese communists clamped down on freedom in Hong Kong. Here's Tim Walz at a 2014 congressional hearing saying just that.
As a young man, I was just going and going to teach high school in Fosan in Guangdong, and was in Hong Kong in May of 89. And as the events were unfolding, several of us went in, and I still remember the train station in Hong Kong. It was a large number, especially European, I think, very angry that we would still go after what had happened. But it was my belief at that time that the diplomacy was going to happen on many levels, certainly people to people, and the opportunity to be in a Chinese high school at that critical time seemed to me to be really important. And it was a very interesting summer, to say the least.
It was such an interesting summer that he dreamt it up. Because here's what really happened. In April of 1989, the student protest started. Tim Walz, you will note, let's refresh our memory, shall we, class? When did he say he went over there?
As a young man, I was just going and going to teach high school in Fosan in Guangdong, and was in Hong Kong in May of 89.
May of 89, ladies and gentlemen. The unforgettable pictures from Tiananmen Square took place on June the 4th of 1989. And Tim Walz has gotten away with that for a decade. But due to some intrepid reporting, yes, it still exists out there somewhere. Newspapers from Nebraska show a uniform wearing National Guardsman Tim Walz in Nebraska at that particular point on the calendar where he said he was in Hong Kong. So Tim Walz was not in Tiananmen Square. This is yet another instance of his serial fabulism, which is to say his unrepentant, unchecked lying. And so this is, again, fertile ground for J.D. Vance to attack tonight. I think J.D. will take him apart, but I'm not sure it will be portrayed that way because, of course, J.D. Vance has been under attack by the left solely because he's a Republican, and in particular because he's a faithful husband with a story that Democrats would love to be able to tell about themselves, somebody who triumphed over poverty, gained what he gained via meritocracy. Unlike the Democratic presidential candidate, J.D. Vance didn't sleep his way to the top. J.D. Vance didn't get positions he was unqualified for because he's black or Indian. J.D. Vance had no privilege. He came from a single-parent home, and his mom was a drug addict, and he served his country and went to college on the GI Bill and then got into Yale and then started a business and became super successful and gravitated to politics, you know, the old-fashioned way, like our founders designed it, where people of success would go to Washington, D.C. and serve their fellow man, not people like Kamala Harris, not people like Joe Biden, not people like Barack Obama, not people like Sherrod Brown, who spent their entire career grifting off the taxpayer. So down with J.D. Vance, because we can't have that anymore. I'm not the only one who's confident in J.D. Vance tonight. So is Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton.
What I'm confident of is that J.D. Vance is going to do an excellent job of exposing that Kamala Harris is a dangerous San Francisco liberal, and that Tim Walz wants to make Minnesota California, and he's got a long way towards that if you know what he wanted in Minnesota, and that's what they do to America as well. Of course, J.D. also has a big advantage over Tim Walz in this debate, which is he knows where he stands and what he believes. Maybe even more important, he knows where the boss stands and what he believes. Tim Walz is almost as absent from the news as Kamala Harris because he can't go out and answer any question. Kamala Harris wants to ban fracking. She's wanted to for 50 years of her life, and now all of a sudden she's at an election eve conversion. She won't say where she stands on race-based reparations. She, won't say where she stands on the gas-powered vehicle ban and the electric vehicle mandate. How is Tim Walz going to answer these questions tonight? He has no idea what Kamala Harris is going to say next in her craven and opportunistic efforts to get herself elected.
That's absolutely true. And then what is also true is that I hope J.D. Vance tonight hits Tim Walz on his statement that there's no such thing as freedom of speech for misinformation. This is understated, though I continue to say the most important long-term impact of this upcoming election is what will happen to the First Amendment if Democrats are allowed to continue to be in power. If you don't believe me, listen to someone who ran for president for the Democratic Party, John Kerry, at the World Economic Forum in the past week.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing.
Among Democrats, it's growing and growing and growing. It's not growing among Republicans because we have good ideas and we can win arguments based on merit. The reason why the concern with social media is growing among Democrats is because they cannot win on ideas. Continue with your stupidity, John Kerry.
In terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today.
It's really hard to govern today. You know why? Because people are on to the fact that the networks now advocate for Democratic positions. Back when it was Cronkite and other anchors, we all thought, oh, they're telling us the truth. We now know they were not. And we now know that the networks are not telling us the truth, and that only the truth only exists most likely on Twitter, where Elon Musk bought it to safeguard free speech. Continue, Kerry.
You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree.
Good.
People go and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this.
Good.
And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change.
This afternoon, the high today 77, passing shower this evening, otherwise cloudy. Low tonight at 55, less humid, clouds and sun for tomorrow, the high 71. Partly sunny, a warm day on Thursday, the high 77. Partly sunny Friday, the high up to 81. And then sunshine, a very nice day on Saturday, the high Saturday at 77. Sunday, mostly sunny, the high once again at 77. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Are you buying water at big box stores? Why go through the hassle of driving to the store, lugging your bottles in and out, then stand in line to pay? Let Magnetic Springs Bottled Water Company deliver your water to your home or office for less. Let us take the hassle out of bottled water. Call Magnetic Springs Bottled Water Company today, 800-572-2990. Or go online to magneticsprings.com to place your order and receive 2 free cases of 16-ounce sports bottles.
Magnetic Springs is a member of the iTex trading community. Your iTex dollars are welcome.
This man is running around here busting his chops, scaring the hell out of communities, right? And we're trying to figure out how to keep that middle, locked in on her when she needs to bust him in his mouth. I'm saying it like that because he's dangerous. He's dangerous to particular people. And the history of the country is such that we can't play fast and loose with it. Isn't it incumbent on all of us to protect the people who are endangered by him? But you never have. That's the rub. You never have. And so part of what we have to do in the midst of this is to engage in a deep-seated political calculus, right? Even though we know that she has to get the middle, we got to come out and try to figure out how to turn out in the large historic numbers, because we got to keep this troglodyte out of office. Because if he comes in, our babies are going to be in danger. Because remember, those young children are going to grow up with the memory of having to not go to school for the threat of bombs. And somebody told them that their moms and dads eat cats, if they eat cats. And
including my dog, who loves it. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, who created Rough Greens, is also an airborne ranger and Green Beret, an amazing background. He loves dogs, and he's on a mission to help as many as he can. Listen carefully, dog food is dead food. Rough Greens supplements your dog's food with essential vitamins and minerals, omega oils, digestive enzymes, probiotics, and antioxidants. Dr. Black is offering a free Jumpstart trial bag to get back their energy, improve elimination, and get rid of itching, scratching, achy joints, and bad breath. Get your free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover shipping. Don't change your dog's food. Just add Rough Greens today. That is ruffgreens.com/Kirk. And Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, to check it out. And if you are a cat owner, check out Meow Greens. That's all you can find at ruffgreens.com/Kirk.
If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to just mask the pain, feel better for a few hours, only to have the pain return and then repeat the cycle all over again, it's time to try Relief Factor. Like I did. The good news is Relief Factor has a 3-week quick start that's just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it. Its unique formula of ingredients helps support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by a team of doctors. It's 100% drug-free, and for so many of us, the results are game-changing, even life-changing. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Get back to doing the things you love. Give it a try. Let's see if we can get you out of pain. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF. See how in just a few weeks or maybe days, Relief Factor can reduce or even eliminate your pain. When you feel better, life is better. Don't just mask pain. Fight it naturally with Relief Factor.
PatriotSwitch.com products are fantastic for you and for your family. Why? Because first and foremost, they're made from plants and plant extracts. So that means no toxins if you're looking for healthy products. If you're afraid of what might happen to your body, if you have mysterious rashes or you wonder, are the nitrates and benzenes and other products that you read on the label doing something that you may not even realize but fear could happen to you? Well, then one way to avoid that would be to go with PatriotSwitch.com products. Leave your information at PatriotSwitch.com/Bruce, and I'll reach out to you and tell you how you can become a member of the private shopping club that ships these things right to your house. Oh, there's another benefit. You don't have to go to the store anymore. And if you don't go to the store anymore, then you're not handing your money to woke corporations that donate it to causes that you don't support. You're being lied to. You're being poisoned. 2 good reasons to go with PatriotSwitch.com products, which you can do by leaving me your contact information at PatriotSwitch.com/Bruce. The Columbus City Schools has responded on the final day it had to respond to the lawsuit filed by Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, attempting to force the district to do what the law says it should do, which is transport private school and charter school students who live in the district to their preferred private school and charter school. The district says it cannot afford to do this, although I'm mystified as to why, because these charter schools and private schools are located very close to existing Columbus City School buildings, and in fact would be former Columbus City School buildings if only Columbus City Schools didn't spend an inordinate amount of money to maintain buildings it's no longer using. And why are they spending that money to maintain buildings they are no longer using? Because the law says that if they sell those buildings, they have to first make them available for sale to someone who wants to start a charter school or a private school. So the city of Columbus is choosing to hold on to buildings that it does not need as its enrollment dwindles to 37,000 students. And then it wants to say, well, we can't afford to bus the kids to the private schools and the charter schools. What goes unsaid is, of course, they could afford it and probably can afford it since they already spend more per pupil, given their recent $100 million windfall via levy voters were stupid enough to approve. They could certainly afford it given what they are spending per pupil, but they could also afford it if they would simply stop spending the $500,000 or so that they are spending to keep buildings maintained that they're not using. Including, like, remember when we went through on the show how much they spent on air conditioning and playground equipment? Playground equipment for schools you're not using. Yeah, good expenditure. Great. So Dave Yost is suing Columbus City Schools. Maybe Columbus City Schools ought to ask themselves, why are there 9,000 students in our district who are choosing to go to charter schools and private schools? Why aren't they coming to our wonderful Columbus City Schools? I mean, I know we don't educate kids in the Columbus City Schools. You know, we don't teach them to read. We don't teach them to do math. But we are so interesting to watch. We have board members who are taping phone calls with other board members and backstabbing each other. We are at least entertaining to watch, if not accomplishing our mission to educate students. So the response from the Columbus City Schools is that they are asking for the lawsuit to be dismissed because the lawsuit has, according to Columbus City Schools, no legal merit. No legal merit, they say. Well, back to the taping scandal. Tina Pierce, one of the embattled board members, the other is Jennifer Adair, who taped calls, or who they didn't tape the calls. Brandon Simmons, the embattled board member that they all wanted to resign because he's caused them nothing but headaches. Tina Pierce is fighting back. Tina says she is the victim of inaccurate reporting. And she released her own taped phone call yesterday with Brandon Simmons that she said will exonerate her of all those who think that she was conspiring with Simmons. Now, what's the most noteworthy thing on her tape is that she presses Brandon Simmons on whether or not many people helped him craft the document about how to win the PR war over closing schools, and Simmons steadfastly refused to answer that question. Now, what I find more interesting than Simmons being cagey and not answering the question was that the phone call Tina Pierce released yesterday was not included in the public records request that media organizations requested of the district a while back. That was the request that led to 3 disclosures of Brandon Simmons' phone calls, but curiously enough, the district didn't release Tina Pierce's phone call. Crazy how that happens, right? But remember, they're going to be more transparent and more open. And you know how you know that? Because Tina Pierce's statement that she released to the media yesterday said, "This will be my only public comment on this issue, and all my answers have been vetted by my legal counsel, who has reviewed all these answers for accuracy and no doubt legal protection." Nothing says transparency like, "Here's my prepared statement vetted by my lawyer." Nothing says transparency like that. You know what might say might indicate transparency better than that? Here I am. I'll answer any questions you might have. Nope. Here's my statement from my lawyer. Now, further demonstrating the dysfunction here in our Central Ohio area, we have a verdict yesterday for a second person involved in the senseless murder of Kevin Sobnosky, the young man from Youngstown, 21 years old, honor student, who came down here on Halloween weekend in 2022 and was murdered at the Sheetz gas station near the airport because he and his friends decided, in completely innocent but nevertheless ill-fated decision, to stop and get gas on their way back to school while two rival gangs were having a shootout. The person who shot Kevin Sobnosky in the back of the head and killed him, Kamarian Ross, who was 18 at the time of the shooting, received life in prison with a possibility of parole for 32 years. Yesterday, the getaway car driver, Tommy Wilkerson Jr., 21 of North Linden, pleaded guilty to felonious assault with a 5-year firearm specification, sentenced to 9 to 11 years in prison. Should have been 90 years, not 9. Here's what's really interesting. Kevin Sobnosky murdered on Halloween weekend. What was Tommy Wilkerson, driver of the getaway car, doing 1 month before? Here it is. He was driving a stolen vehicle on September the 23rd in Dublin when he was confronted by Dublin police. Wilkerson rammed his vehicle into the police cruiser and fled on foot, but was apprehended a short time later. Dublin police found multiple firearms in the stolen vehicle and in the area where Wilkerson was arrested, including 2 guns equipped with a Glock switch, which is highly illegal in Columbus, Ohio, because it converts a semi-automatic handgun into a fully automatic weapon. But Tommy Wilkerson was not in custody a month later, even though he had committed serious gun crimes. And even though he rammed a police cruiser with a stolen car a month later, and probably way before a month later, he was out on the streets consorting with his buddies, shooting up a Sheetz gas station and innocently killing someone who had made every right decision in life. And his life was innocently taken. And now this drain on society, who should have been locked up and would have been if we had a real justice system in Franklin County, is going to be out to live his life, which, unless I miss my guess, will involve more crime, more mayhem, and more damage to the citizenry when he's released from prison. And Kevin Sobnosky will never get the chance to do that, and his parents will live every single day trying to make sense of what happened to the son that they raised, to honor God, to serve his community, and to achieve success. 4.0 student, full academic ride to Youngstown State, comes down here for a Halloween party and ends up dead. The guy who did it should have been locked up from his crimes a month before. Because you're an accomplice, you are the same as someone who pulls the trigger. One guy who pulls the trigger gets 32 years, which is wholly inadequate, and this kid gets 9 years. Ridiculous.
Have you heard about Dinesh D'Souza's new movie? It's based on a book by the same name, Vindicating Trump. This movie is a searching examination about the real reasons why the left and the Democrats hate Donald Trump so much. They call him a tyrannical dictator, but in truth, it's the American government's authoritarian regime that's a fraud.
The White House has been involved over the weekend. The White House has been involved over the weekend.
Secretary of Labor Julie Sue has been terrific. She's knocking down doors. She's trying to stop this. She's trying to get us to a media where we can have a fair negotiations. It's the companies that don't want to. They don't want to sit here and be fair. So that's why we're out here fighting for our livelihood.
What more from the automation do you want? What more? What more from the automation do you want? What more protections could there be?
What more?
Yeah, they have language in there now.
Not strong enough, because what happens is they come in with new technology. We just caught them in Mobile, Alabama, called Autogate, and that means the trucks are coming in and they're already checked in somewhere else and not using the checkers in the ILA. Circumventing the contract. They don't care. They don't care. It's not fair. And if we don't put our foot down now, they would like to run over us, and we're not going to allow that.
You are going to grind the economy to a halt here on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast.
No, not us. They are. Don't spin it now because you're Fox News. They're going to drive it.
But are you worried?
They're going to drive it.
Are you worried that this
They have
strike?
the capital to settle this thing.
Are you worried that this strike is going to hurt the everyday American, the farmers that need to reach the export market? They're telling me that they're going to hurt through
Now
all
you
of
start to realize who the longshoremen are, right?
Nobody cares.
People never gave a about us until now, when they finally realized that the chain is being broke now. Cars won't come in. Food won't come in. Clothing won't come in. You know how many people depend on our jobs? Half the world. And it's time for them and time for Washington to put so much pressure on them to take care of us, because we took care of them. And we're here 135 years and brought them where they are today, and they don't want to share.
He seems like a likable sort.
Presidential candidates' microphones will stay on while their opponent is speaking, unlike the two presidential debates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Vance won a virtual coin toss and will speak last. CBS, which is hosting the debate, also said it would be up to the candidates, not the moderators, to fact-check each other in real time. There will be no audience. Greg Clugston, New York.
And the Salem Radio Network and Salem News Channel are offering a simulcast of tonight's CBS News presidential debate. On Wall Street, the Dow losing 138 points, the NASDAQ Composite 315 in the red. More at townhall.com.
Clouds and warm, a shower in spots this afternoon. High today 77, passing shower this evening, otherwise cloudy. Low tonight at 55, less humid, clouds and sun for tomorrow, the high 71. Partly sunny, a warm day on Thursday, the high 77. Partly sunny Friday, the high up to 81. And then sunshine, a very nice day on Saturday, high Saturday at 77. Sunday, mostly sunny, the high once again at 77. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
ProView Remodeling, Central Ohio's one-stop residential remodeler, specializer in the best sunrooms, windows, doors, decks, sidings, patios, porches, motorized screens, and more. Call ProView Remodeling today and get 60 months, 0 interest, or 25% off. Call 7 days a week, 614-756-3140. You win with ProView, 614-756-3140, or go to proviewremodeling.com.
With SRN Sports, I'm Andrew Stewart. In the NFL yesterday, the Detroit Lions outlast the Seattle Seahawks in an offensive shootout.
Jared Goff throws for 2 touchdowns and catches another as the Lions slide past the Seahawks 42-29. Goff completed all 18 passes he threw, finishing with a passer rating of 155.8 and caught a touchdown toss from Amon-Ra St. Brown to help the Lions win back-to-back games and improve to 3-1.
I was just trying to make the right play on every snap. It wasn't like we were throwing it way down the field, or, I was just able to find the open guy. I had a few checkdowns that popped for some big gains.
The 18-for-18 performance set a new NFL mark for the most passes completed in a perfect passing game. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs ran in a pair of touchdowns, while David Montgomery ran in another. Danny Cap, Detroit.
Also in the NFL yesterday, Tennessee stomps Miami 31-12. And retired NFL quarterback Brett Favre trying to expand his defamation lawsuit. This is SRN Sports. In baseball yesterday, the San Francisco Giants tabbed one of its franchise icons to head up its baseball ops department.
The Giants have hired former catcher Buster Posey as their new president of baseball operations and fired Farhan Zaidi. Chairman Greg Johnson made the announcement a day after the Giants finished 80-82 in manager Bob Melvin's first season, with one more victory than a year earlier. San Francisco won the NL West in 2021, but hasn't made the playoffs since. The 37-year-old Posey joined the club's ownership group in September of 2022, less than a year after his retirement in November 2021. I'm Kevin Sobnosky.
Also in baseball, vanished great Pete Rose has died. The longtime Cincinnati Red was the career hits leader. Pete Rose was 83. And basketball great Dikembe Mutombo has died at age 58 from brain cancer. With sports, I'm Andrew Stewart.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded. Trish Regan provides the analysis you need each day on the Trish Regan podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
Hey, I got to end the live stream after the first hour. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it very much. And I'll talk to you again soon.